Hello and thank you for joining me today. Well, this is the Monday, October 24th edition of our video devotionals. We appreciate you being with us today. Hope your Monday's going well. We call this Marvelous Monday. And just to have the mindset, it's Monday, the beginning of another work week and school week, and let's make it a good Monday. Okay, we got beautiful weather here. I guess if you could have perfect fall weather, warm days and cool nights, then we're definitely having it right now. But otherwise, enjoy the fall because winter's coming. Well, this is the last full week of October for this year, and next Monday at this time it'll be the 31st. So we are getting toward the end of the year, and we're reading through the Bible in 1 year's time. And today we're going to be in Luke chapter 7, and we're going to start in verse number 11. Give you a chance to find that if it is your custom. Otherwise, we appreciate everybody who watches the videos. Thank you so much, and all the responses, and we appreciate that. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into it today. It says here in Luke 7:11. It says, and it came to pass the day after that he went into a city called Nain, and many of his disciples went with him, and much people. Now when he came nigh to the gate of the city, behold, there was a dead man carried out, the only son of his mother, and she was a widow, and much people of the city was with her. And when the Lord saw her, he had compassion on her, and said unto her, Weep not. And he came and touched the bier. I think B-I-E-R, that's probably what we would consider the casket or the coffin, perhaps even whatever the implement was used to carry, but at any rate, no doubt that. And it says here, he touched the bier, and they that bare him stood still. And he said, Young man, I say unto thee, arise. And he that was dead sat up and began to speak. And he delivered him to his mother. And there came a fear on all, and they glorified God, saying, that a great prophet is risen up among us, and that God hath visited his people. Now, of course, a wonderful miracle. In fact, the previous miracle before that was the centurion had a servant, and he was healed. That was a wonderful story. And even Jesus marveled at the faith of the centurion, considering throughout all the people in Israel, a Roman centurion, a Roman officer, would be the one that would have the kind of faith that he exercised. But here's what I want to talk about today. Of course, you can imagine there's a funeral procession, and you can imagine Jesus. He sees the weeping mother, and he had compassion on her, and he stops that funeral procession, and he goes over and just speaks. And the young man arises and begins to speak, and Jesus says, I want you to go back to your mother. Now, what a wonderful miracle. But the result there was the fear that fell on all the people and the glory that came to God. Now, look, I realize in the day that we live that if Jesus wanted to use us or use no one at all, he could raise the dead. There's no doubt about it. I'm sure there's instances in which someone who was dead, and maybe there's people that listen to this video right now can say, I know for a fact that so-and-so had passed and God raised them back from the dead. That's not without any realm of possibility, considering God is God, and I understand that. I understand the day and age that we live. I understand that the great display of the power of God, here's what I'm getting to, should be the fact that the dead spiritually are being raised, that the dead spiritually are being instantaneously passing from death into life in the spiritual sense. And that is our mission. That is our job. And here's the thing. If we could pray that way and work that way, you know what? Then I believe that people would see that manifestation of the presence of God. That's what it's all about. It's not about the person. It's not about the church. It's about God being manifested. And God could use us. God could use us, and that's what we desperately need. And I think people need to see that. I think our churches need a stirring. And, we talk about revival, and the preacher stands up and speaks about it. We pray about it, and I get that. And I believe there's places where there is probably great things happening, and it should be happening in every church. The day and age in which we live should not determine God's presence in our own life and God's presence working. When you look at the Bible and you look at the unbelief and the belief and what Jesus would do and not do, depending on the attitude of the people, then I must say, why don't we just the people that are listening to this devotional right now, including myself, get in earnest prayer and determine that we're going to have in our churches and in our lives, we're going to have the presence of God so real that it has an impact on the people that we go out and we meet and help. Look, if we could see the souls saved and we could see the lives change, people would take notice of that, and people would say, wow, it'd be just like stopping a funeral procession and the dead being raised to life. That's a wonderful thing, and it got people's attention, no doubt about it, just like when Lazarus was raised. However, I think our mission today, if God wanted me to go out to the cemetery, God wanted me to stop a funeral procession. In fact, yesterday we had a funeral at our church between our morning service and the afternoon service. If God wanted me to go out and He moved me to do that, then there's no doubt about it. God can do it. He can still do it. And I understand that. God, I believe He heals people. I get that. But you know what? The idea here that when this man was brought back to life, it says there came a fear on all, and they glorified God. And they noticed that the presence of God was in their midst. And that's exactly what we need in our churches. That's exactly what we need on our lives. And I'm praying, if you pray extra, whatever it is, if you're not praying toward that end, I want God to use us to do something so that it gets the attention. We've got a nation that all they see these days is basically the hopelessness and the fear and seemingly the devil working, seemingly the devil's crowd working. But you know what? If we don't have a national sweeping revival, if we don't have a worldwide revival before Jesus comes, that's fine. I understand the day and age we live, but that does not exempt the fact that we have the power of God and should have the power of God upon us now, and so that we can do the great and mighty things, the work of God, the winning of souls, and seeing people like a Saul totally turn around, seeing people that are lost, and especially people who have no church affiliation whatsoever. Now, anybody, of course, getting them saved. But imagine what we consider the hardcore sinners that need the power of God on them. If we would pray that way, and our churches would be revived, and through the power of God, not because we're trying to make it happen through all the means that sometimes people do. It's almost like they try to manufacture the power of God, when the truth is it's right there before us. Trusting God and praying to God and asking God to use us to win the lost and to save people and to get people right with God and to get people that otherwise are just cruel sinners that can be saved and their lives can be turned around. And people can see that and say, wow, that's God. And I think that's what we desperately need. It's the time to do it, and we are the people to do it. So I'm going to ask you to pray that way, and let's see God work in a mighty way, and let the fear, the respect of God sweep around, and God be glorified. Well, I believe that's what we've got for us today. We'll see tomorrow what we call, let's see here, Thankful Tuesday. I get some of my little monikers mixed up a little bit, but it's Thankful. And if you want to call it Trusting Tuesday, that's fine with me. But otherwise, tomorrow, and we'll march along through the book of Luke as we are. Hope you have a safe day. Hope you're healthy, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.